It's only a week until the NFL draft. Today, we are going to be going over my final draft board for the Houston Texans for that first round 25th overall pick. So if you like Texans content, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will be going live for the draft, so also check in on the channel during all 3 draft days. We're going to cook up. But to get started, here's the final draft board. There's a couple of sneak peeks already, as you saw from the thumbnail. And I apologize in advance. There's no real great place to put myself on the screen. But first, I want to kind of give y'all a look at what the levels are. So the green, you're at 25, you stick and pick. Then you trade up for blue, trade back in the first round for yellow, and then the last round is trade back into the second round. So stick at 25, trade up, trade back to the second round. That's kind of the tiers that I have when I put this board together. Also, for the trade up and trade backs, those aren't, a one size fits all type of thing. I'll talk about that more when we get to it. For now, let's talk about the lowest level on my board, which is starting with that second round. And we're going to start with Luther Burden. Now, Luther Burden has fallen the farthest on my draft board simply because of his character issues. If you know anything about the Houston Texans, they do not like to draft guys with character problems. Luther Burden right now, fairly or unfairly, is the epitome of a guy with a character problem. He's a great receiver. I think he's underappreciated by the whole draft community. I like him a lot more, but if I'm making this from the Texans' point of view, I don't see them spending any first-round draft capital on him because of his character issues. Let's move right along and talk about Jack Bech. Jack Bech is a great player. If you got Jack Bech in the second round from a trade back and you got another pick with that or something, I think you're very happy. Bech is great because he catches everything. He's a quarterback's best friend. He could have played as a smaller tight end. He chose to play as a larger receiver. He's not going to kill you with athleticism, but his hands are amazing. He catches anything, runs out the slot, runs over the middle. He has great hands. I like Bech. Very productive LSU transfer playing at TCU this past year. Put up a 1,000-yard season as well. Moving on in the second round, we have Josh Conerly Jr. The reason why Josh Conerly Jr. is a second round pick for me is because he cannot help you right now at all. Josh Conerly Jr. is going to be a guy who needs to sit, who needs to learn a little bit, who needs to hit the weight room and really increase that lower half of his body strength. I mean, there was a viral clip of him getting run over at the Senior Bowl by, I believe, Mike Green. So he's young. He's a younger talent. He's only a junior, I believe, a true junior. So there's a lot of traits to like about him, but he doesn't help you right now. And I definitely don't want to see him taken at 25. Moving right along, we have Elic Iomenor out of Stanford. Look, he, on most people's list, is probably the best second-round receiver. Maybe that fringe round 1 guy who could sneak up into round 1. I just don't really see the Texans taking Elic in round 1. We know they like taking big school guys. Elic is the opposite of that, playing at Stanford. Really productive receiver, really good size, really good athleticism, good contested catch ability. I just don't see the Texans picking him until the second round, if he falls that deep anyway. And then finally, we have Ariante Ursary. He is the highest, I guess, on my second round picks because he's a great tackle. I think he's a little more developed than Josh Conerly Jr. You could debate me with that. That's not necessarily set in stone, but I do think he can help you right now the quickest. So I like Ursary a lot, and he rounds out the second round part of my tier list. Now let's move up and talk about a trade back opportunity. So you're sitting at 25, maybe you trade back to like 30, 31, 32, 26, 27, 28. You trade back a little bit to go get these guys. That's where I think these guys would fit best for the Houston Texans. Let's start with Jalen Higgins out of Iowa State. I really like Jalen Higgins. I really like him. He is a big, like 6'4" receiver who runs great routes, who will kill you with his route running. He's pretty quick, pretty athletic for his size. He almost plays like a slot receiver that you just, right corner dragged out to make a 6'4" guy. I think he can really get into the first round, even over Elic. I know the community likes Elic a lot more because Elic's more physical. I understand that. The one knock I have on Higgins is he doesn't play super physical for his size, but he just reminds me of like a Drake London, who Drake London's not the most physical receiver either, but he can kill you with routes, great hands, and really wins, through his route running. So I really like Jalen Higgins. I like his size as well, and I would be fine with trading back, maybe getting some more capital, and still picking up Jaden Higgins. Feel free to debate me on that. I know that's kind of controversial. Moving down slightly from my last board is Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State University. And honestly, it's just the fact that I don't think the Texans will spend 25 overall capital on him. He played at North Dakota State University. He's a 5-year senior, very talented, performed really well at the Senior Bowl. But is he going to be able to make that same leap to the NFL? You could definitely say yes. A lot of teams are considering moving him to center as well. The Texans, I don't really know if they're looking for a center. They're really looking for more guard help. So Gray Zabel falls just a little bit. I still think if you picked him at 25, it wouldn't be the worst, thing to do in the world. I just think realistically, the Texans probably want to wait on him a little bit longer. Okay, moving on to Tyler Booker. Now, Tyler Booker has fallen drastically. I had Tyler Booker arguably as a trade-up candidate at one point. Now he's sitting at a trade-back candidate. And the reason is pretty simple. Tyler Booker's athleticism is shockingly not great. We saw that, glimpses of that at the Combine. Look, Tyler Booker is an amazing guard when he's set in stone, in his position, ready to block guys. But if you're asking him to get to the second level, maybe to participate in some more run blocking, I don't know if that's going to happen. Now, it is a double-edged sword because Tyler Booker probably has the best personality on this board that the Texans would like. They really like guys who are leaders. He was a leader at Alabama, kind of like Will Anderson was. So he has all the qualitative traits. He has the qualitative traits. I just don't know if he's as athletic as you would like. And when you add on top of that, you're picking a guard at 25. We saw how a pick at 15 went at the guard position with Kenyon Green. So Tyler Booker, I think he's extremely talented. Questions about his athleticism, but still a first-round talent. Just maybe not at 25. I know this is super nuanced and super particular, but that's what, the fun of it is, creating these draft boards. Moving on to Donovan Jackson, one of the biggest risers in these exercises that I've done. Donovan Jackson, what I like most about him is he was impressive at tackle. He was very good at guard as well. So obviously he had to fill in when Josh Simmons got hurt and kind of raise some eyebrows like, okay, there's not that much of a fall off, a little bit of a fall off, not going to lie, but he's not meant to play tackle, right? You're drafting Donovan Jackson as a guard, and he was a very good guard at a very good university coming off a championship caliber team, at least in college. Donovan Jackson, he's got the mentality as well, just a stud. I think he rises the most and has been rising the most, and I think the Texans could be a little bit interested in Donovan Jackson. But now let's move up to the stick and pick area. This is the area where you just stay at 25. If one of these guys falls to you, that's great. And let's get started with none other than Amari and Hampton. There's an asterisk by Amari and Hampton, and the asterisk is simply just the positional need. I know Nick Caserio talks about how position doesn't matter. We draft the best guy available. Look, the reality is you really don't need a running back. Would I hate it? I would not hate it because Amari and Hampton would be your next Joe Mixon. You would have a certified running back 2 who probably could walk in and potentially be a running back 1 who could help Joe Mixon out and take half the carries. Amari and Hampton is a do-it-all fantastic back. He's even a great receiving back, which we've seen a lot of from Hampton. We haven't seen any of that in Genty. Amari and Hampton is slated to be at 25, and I understand he fits no needs for the Texans. I would consider running back a need, but he's not a receiver. He's not an O-lineman. I understand that, but he could be your next running back 1 for a very long time. So Amari and Hampton, definitely a name to think about. The asterisk there being running backs. And look, we're just coming off a season where running backs have proven that they still have value in the season, especially in the draft. Now let's talk about Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden, not a trade-up candidate for me, but if you can get him at 25, go ahead and get him. Look, Matthew Golden has the speed. It doesn't show up on tape, but he has the speed from the Combine. He has some of the best ball tracking ability in this draft class. He doesn't have the best hands in the class. There were some concentration drops. And the production, he had one real good year of production. So for those reasons, I'm a little bit lower on Matthew Golden. If by lower you just mean I wouldn't trade up for him. I think Matthew Golden's a phenomenal player. Have there been, let's say a team picks him at 15, right? Have there been more impressive receivers at 15 in previous drafts? 1,000%. The reality is this is just a weak wide receiver class. I would love Golden at 25. Do I want to trade up and sell the house for him at 15? Not really. So I like Golden. I don't love him. I still think you can pick him at 25. That's fine. Go get an O-lineman in the second round. Moving right along to Colston Loveland. Now, the flip of that is I think Colston Loveland is amazing at 25. I think he is the second best tight end in this class, and this is a great tight end class. Colston Loveland is like a bona fide wide receiver that plays the tight end position. Can he block? There might be some question marks there, but the big thing with Colston Loveland is, do you want a tight end in the first round? You could argue that you would want a tight end over a running back, and that's why I have Colston Loveland over Amari and Hampton, but still, is that better than a receiver? I think he's a much better talent tight end wise than Matthew Golden is receiver wise. But again, we're talking about two, top 20 picks in the draft. So not trying to throw shade on Matthew Golden. I just do think Colston Loveland is the better prospect at 25. Moving right along to a lot of people's favorite targets, that is Emeka Egbuka. Look, Emeka Egbuka is one of the most stable receivers in this class. 4 years of amazing production. He's broken Ohio State receiver records, which is big because it's Ohio State. He is a great receiver, consistent. Is he going to kill you with these big, explosive, flashy plays, one-arm catches, stiff arms, and all that? No. But is he going to walk into your room and be a wide receiver too? Yes. He is a great receiver, really good, solid, one of the highest floor players in this draft. If you get Emeka Egbuka at 25, you're exceedingly happy. Why don't I want to trade up for Emeka Egbuka? Look, I have concerns about, if you're trading up for a guy, if you're giving up a third round pick to pick this guy at 15, I would like him to have wide receiver 1 potential. I do think there's a universe where Emeka Egbuka can be a wide receiver 1. I think it's pretty unlikely, and for that reason, I don't want to sell the house and go grab Emeka Egbuka at 15. Not really interested in doing that, so stick and pick at 25. The last player at 25, but also the best player, in my opinion, to stick and pick at 25 is, there's an asterisk on this too, but it's Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. And the reason is simple. The asterisk is his medicals. If you like his medicals and if you think he's healthy, the Texans should draft Josh Simmons. He is one of the best tackles in this draft. You could make the argument that he would have been the best tackle in this class had he not torn that patellar tendon. Of course, the argument is, we've never really seen him play a game after the injury. We've also never really seen him play this year against good talent. A lot of the games he played early were against really bad teams. So I understand that, but he's got the traits. He's got the size, the body, the footwork. If he comes back healthy, it'll be very hard to pass up on Josh Simmons if you're the Houston Texans. Because again, if his knee's healthy, if his medical's clear, he could be a blue chip tackle for sure. Okay, now let's move up into the trade up category. Now let me be very clear by saying this. Some of the guys I'm saying sell the house for. Some of the guys I'm saying maybe move up 4 or 5 spots. So still expensive, but don't sell the house for. Now, one of the guys that I would move up 4 or 5 spots for is Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Look, the reality is you need a tackle for the future. I think Kelvin Banks offers you a better, less risk-averse path to getting a tackle than Josh Simmons, because Kelvin Banks isn't really coming off a major injury, right? And he was able to be productive at UT, great school, a lot of talent there. No one's doubting Kelvin Banks' ability. I think he'll be a great tackle in the NFL. Could you ask him to maybe play guard and then fill in and tackle? Potentially. Right now, he would have to beat out, I guess, Blake Fisher or Cam Robinson, which probably isn't going to happen. But this next year, once Cam Robinson is gone, then he'd be your future left tackle. So I do like Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, really thinking about the long-term effect of that. Same with Josh Simmons too. If you're drafting a tackle, you're really thinking a little more long-term. Let's move right along and talk about Will Campbell. Will Campbell, is he going to drop to 25? No. Will you probably have to sell the house? Yes. If he gets to like 15, then maybe trade up for Will Campbell. The only reason I think he does is because of his arm length. His arms are short, or whatever has been going around the media. Look, the reality is if his arms are short and he can't play tackle, the Texans would play him at guard. That's just the reality. I think he can play anywhere. He's a good freak, high IQ player. Short arms could be the reason he drops if teams really want a true tackle, and maybe Kelvin Banks goes over him or things of that nature. But the reality is if he starts falling, go ahead, trade up, go get Will Campbell. He's a solid player. And maybe the most controversial guy on here is Ted McMillan. Look, if Ted McMillan's sitting at 15, 16, 17, come on. Ted McMillan is an explosive receiver. I know not everyone has liked him recently because of the stuff that comes out, but pairing him with Nico Collins would be elite. You would have arguably the best receiver in this draft, depending on what your thoughts of Travis Hunter are. He's your wide receiver too, in the worst case scenario. Are there character issues? Maybe. Do the Texans like that? No. But is he an amazing receiver who could really beef up that room with Nico Collins? And he's the only receiver I think that can be a wide receiver 1. Travis Hunter's going to be playing corner. I don't think Matthew Golden can really walk into that role. Emeka Egbuka, maybe Ted McMillan could be a wide receiver one. And if you trade up for a wide receiver one, that's never a bad thing. But finally, to wrap it up, we have Armand Membo. It's really simple. I think he's the best tackle in the class. I've been saying that for months now. If Armand Membo starts sliding, you make phone calls, you give up that third round pick, maybe even give up the second. I don't want to get too crazy, but you make a move, you do something, maybe get a pick swap, and you go get Armand Membo because he's the best tackle in this draft. And yeah, nothing else needs to be said about that. So I will give y'all one more look at this really quickly. That's kind of my board. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you like it? Is there anyone you change, you'd switch around? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Daily Texans content. I will see you guys in the next one, man. Thank y'all so much for watching, and peace out.